Yo, let's have a look at the top rank card headline by Abdullah Mason versus Albert Bell. Now, I'm not going to lie, this one underwhelmed, very underwhelming. Considering the names that were on this card, you had Scooter, you had Tiger, you had Shushu, all on the undercard. So, I definitely expected more. However, up until the Abdullah Mason fight, there was actually more fighting going on between the commentators than the fighters. And then I probably saw the worst refereeing that I've seen this year, all on one card. Like, starting from the Scooter fight, which he clearly lost to Ramos, but somehow they gave it to Scooter, and Scooter celebrated like he just done his big one. Do you know what I mean? And then let's move on to the Tiger fight anyway. He looked good on the outside. He needs to get more comfortable on the inside. Also, he uses up a lot of nervous energy, which in 12-round fights could hinder you or will hinder you, to be honest. Do you know what I mean? In a 12-round fight, all that nervous energy that he needs to relax. He needs to relax because that nervous energy, I'm telling you, in them last two rounds, them championship rounds in a 12-rounder, yeah, that fatigue is going to set in. That fatigue is definitely going to set in. Yeah, so definitely not ready for Haney yet. But in a few fights, who knows, with Bomac training him, there might be something in it. There's definitely a storyline. It's definitely sellable. Do you know what I mean? But a few more fights with Bomac, which he looks good in, of course. And obviously he needs to keep winning. But for me, I can't see it happening at 147. I think by the time they could eventually meet up, it'll be at 154. Because Tiger's a big guy at 147, and so is Haney. So I can see both of them maybe crossing paths at 154. But yeah, other than that, it was a good win for Tiger. He just kept it clean on the outside. The 1-2s were just couldn't miss all night. But yeah, moving on, we got Shushu Carrington. He was up against Palacios. Now, I'm not going to lie, this one started off sharp. There was straight away I could see the difference in levels from the Tiger Johnson fight to the Shushu Carrington fight. Like, I was very impressed with Shushu. The first couple of rounds, I said, yeah, here we go. Like, let me pay attention fully now. I'm ready now. I'm sharp. The way Shushu was sharp made me sharp watching it. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, what impressed me the most with Shushu was his footwork. His footwork was amazing. He stayed sharp on the outside, and on the inside, he was also superior. So that was interesting because Palacios, you would expect, with Shushu's reach advantage, you would expect Palacios to be getting the better of the inside, of the trading on the inside. But early on especially, Shushu was having his way. Outside, inside, he was having his way. He was clearly the superior boxer. The classy footwork just didn't allow Palacios to get close the distance, or even by the time Palacios set his feet to throw his punches, Shushu's got off and got out of there. So yeah, but round by round, after a couple of rounds, like I'm talking early, after probably from round 3 onwards, you can see Palacios might not have been landing, but he was closing the distance. He was closing the distance. And it was forcing Shushu to work extremely hard to keep Palacios off of him, because he clearly didn't have enough pop in his punches to keep Palacios off of him that way, if you know what I mean. He had to use his feet, he had to use his legs and keep moving, and that obviously started to drain him. He started to slow down, and now that he started to slow down, now Palacios is starting to get closer. And Palacios made adjustments in the second half of the fight and virtually turned this initial boxing match into a brawl, into a fight. Do you know what I mean? And Shushu had to bite down. He had to bite down. He was hurt a couple of times. One of them was ruled a no knockdown because the ref said he slipped, but he clearly got knocked down by a punch. However, the punch was right at the back of the head. not behind the ears or to the side. It was literally right at the back of the head. A couple of commentators said, you know, he dipped his head and whatnot, but either way, the punch was cleanly right at the back of the head. So yeah, for me, it was no knockdown, but it was a sign that Shushu's in danger. And then he was getting hurt to the body. Yeah, he had to bite down, man. He had to bite down because he couldn't get Palacios off of him with his punches. So he just had to bite down and survive. Literally survive. So yeah, in the end, he managed to edge him out. I agree with the scorecards. They got that one right. But he didn't look comfortable doing so. Like, it wasn't like, yeah, this one was, it was literally survival. Literally survival in those last 3 or 4 rounds. It was literally survival. So yeah, Shushu needs to, if he's really trying to get that Inoue fight, you gotta look good, because when Inoue moves up to 126, he's gonna have the pick of the division. So why would he choose to fight you if you're not looking good? Do you know what I mean? You gotta be on top of your game right now to get that fight. So yeah, moving on to the main event. Abdullah Mason beats Albert Bell. Now, Mason took the first round for me, only due to his activity. I think Bell wasn't throwing much in the first round. And I was starting to think, you know, what is this? Is it like, has Bell got a few ghosts from the sparring sessions hanging over him? Do you know what I mean? Or is Bell showing, sometimes the older guy will show more respect to the younger guy, Bell being like 33, 32, 33. Sometimes they'll show more respect to the younger guy, being that they know each other well and sparring partners and whatnot. And I thought maybe it was the younger guy, Mason, you know what I mean? Mason was trying to close distance from round 1, stabbing him to the body and then trying to get off power shots upstairs, which weren't landing, but the stabs to the body were landing. Like, Mason was loading up from round 1, loading up, like loading up. So I thought, okay, maybe it's that. But then from round 2, listen, the first 6 rounds, I had Bell up 5-1. So the first 6 rounds, the only round I gave to Mason was number 1. And that's just due to activity. He didn't even do much. He didn't land much, but he was more active than Bell in that first round. And like I said, from that first round, after that first round, up until round 6, Bell was consistently timing Mason with that right hand. He was timing him with that right hand, just walking him onto it. And then if there was more pop, if Bell had more pop, he would have hurt him. And he was hitting him with the counter shots as well. The counter right hand, he was doing the 2-1. So he was leading with his right hand and finishing with his left hand. He was hitting him with a counter 2-1. Mason was trying to close the distance, and this is how he was walking into the shots. But despite having the longer reach, which is weird with Mason, he always has this advantage with his reach, but he always looks more dangerous up close. On the inside, he always looks more dangerous. So yeah, like I said, despite having a longer reach, Mason is intent on getting inside. And when he did get inside, he was headhunting. And Bell was seeing everything coming. He was seeing, even the punches what did land for me, Bell's seeing it, so it's not affecting him as much. And then when Mason was inside for too long, Bell would tie him up, or he'll turn him, and he'll punch him while he's turning as well. He'll turn him and punch him as well. So yeah, I think from round 7, Bell, I think he said it after that he suffered an injury to his nose, which stopped him from being able to breathe through his nose. Obviously, we didn't know that till after the fight, but what I noticed from after round 6, so I'm assuming from round 7, was that Bell was breathing through his mouth. So I started to think, you know, maybe his camp wasn't to the level it should have been. Maybe he's not fit. Maybe it was a late notice or whatnot. But I thought, all right, cool, he's starting to blow. He's got you know what I mean? He ain't going to be able to use his legs as much. And that's exactly what started to happen. From round 7, he obviously suffered a possible broken nose, affected his breathing. It slowed him down, allowed Mason to get off more often. But again, Mason he's headhunting a lot. So he's getting off, but he's throwing 2 and 3, maybe one's landing. Because Bell's still, okay, he's slow, his feet are slowed down, but he's still fully, he's seeing everything coming. Do you know what I mean? And yeah, so Bell was still competitive. He was still getting off his own as well, hitting him with a few counters, but they've got less pop in it now. So this is what makes me think, okay, although that injury did contribute to you slowing down, it was also a fatigue thing because, okay, your feet have slowed down because you're breathing, but now there's less pop on your shots as well. So it made me think there might be a little bit of fatigue in there as well. And remember, Bell had to use a lot of footwork because he had to use a lot of footwork in order to not. You can't stand. He couldn't stand still with Mason, because once he stands still for too long, Mason now can plant his feet and get off. So for the whole fight, he had to be on the move. Do you know what I mean? So he was expending a lot more energy than Mason. So I think from round 8, I would say Mason finally started to listen to his corner, mainly his dad. Now his dad from about round 3, I would say. Do you know what I mean? Like I said, from Mason won round 1. And from round 1, from then until round 6, he lost every round. And from about round 3, I was hearing his dad initially telling him to stop loading up. Stop loading them up. Stop loading up. Let your jab go. Let it flow. Let it flow. Do you know what I mean? He didn't want him to load up. He was telling him to focus more on speed. Let it flow. Because Bell can see everything coming. So when you're loading up, he can see it coming a mile away. Do you know what I mean? This is what he was telling Mason, to be patient, stop loading up, use your jab. Yeah? That's what he was telling him from round 3. And then from round 8, he would tell him to go downstairs. Stop headhunting, go downstairs. And what he would also tell Mason is if he hits you with that counter shot, if he lands that counter shot, go for a walk. Because he was noticing something that we didn't notice. A couple of times, those counter right hands hurt Mason, affected him. So what he was telling him, instead of fighting fire with fire, just go for a walk. Go for a walk, get back on your jab, and then when you can, go downstairs. Go downstairs. And that's what Mason started doing. From round 8, he started to listen to his corner. And he started to chop Bell down. Ooh, those body shots were nasty. Remember, now Bell is slower on his feet. It's easier to cut off. That's another thing his dad was saying, to cut the ring off. Stop following him around. Cut the ring off. So now Mason's cutting the ring off easier because Bell slowed down. His footwork slowed down. And he was chopping away to that. Oof. Serious body shots. And then round 9, round 10, I feel like Mason started to sense that Bell's weak. He's weak. He's there for the taking. So now Mason is bringing it upstairs as well. You have to remember, Bell is hurt to the stomach, so he's literally just focusing on defending his stomach, and now he's wide open upstairs. He's getting hit with hard shots upstairs. And but Bell, he's still seeing everything coming though. Like, not everything he can get out of the way of, but he's seeing everything coming. He's reacting. He's getting off his counters as well. But like I said, it ain't got the same pop as it did earlier on in the round. So from round 9 to round 12, Bell is now in survival mode. He's holding. He's using all of his experience. He's holding. He's protecting his body. Yeah, he's tying up. Anytime Mason gets inside, he's tying up. But what I was impressed with Mason was his inside ring generalship. Like, he was being nasty in there. He was using, like, he's got them long arms, but he was using his whole forearm, just getting it into Bell's face. Anytime Bell could barely hold him. Like, cause Mason's wiry as it is. So he can slip out. When you're trying to grab him, there's not much to grab. He can slip out. You know what I mean? You're trying to grab him, he can slip out. So then on top of that though, he's using his elbows, he's using his forearms, and he's just making it horrible for Bell to even attempt to hold him. Which for a young man, for a 22-year-old, fairly inexperienced. You know what I mean? He's not we can't really call him green anymore. I don't think Mason's green anymore. He's fairly inexperienced. He's inexperienced at the top level, but he was showing very good ring generalship and breaking up those clinches with the forearms, with the elbows. And even when he got the the second knockdown, yeah, in the 12th, the knockdown, that second knockdown, if you watch it, he hits him with a good shot to the temple, hurt Bell, but Bell's up, and then he's leaned on him, and he uses his forearms and his elbow to just push him down to the ground, which is why it was even more crazy that the ref, number one, didn't call it a no knockdown. Number two, didn't give Bell no count. And number three, just waved it off. The ref got down on his knees and hugged Bell like Bell was like in some type of trouble. Like Bell was cool. And Bell's pushed him off, kind of got up, stood up, pushed him off and said, like, what are you doing? Do you know what I mean? Like, it's a terrible stoppage. But it was undeniable that Bell was going to lose. But it's the 12th round. It's got like a minute and a half left or whatnot. It's a terrible stoppage from the referee. Another terrible decision by the referees for the whole card were diabolical, to be honest. But yeah, the plus points for Mason going on after this, the plus points I would say is he made adjustments. Whether that was off of his own back, well, I know it wasn't. He made adjustments mainly off of listening to his corner, but his corner were giving him good advice, particularly his father. His power carries into the later rounds. So the 12th round, he got the stoppage. His power, those body shots from the 9th to the 12th, yeah, and then he was bringing it upstairs. They had the exact same effect, the exact same speed, the exact same power, torque on them from round one. So his power carries. He's got a good engine, obviously. Good engine. He didn't look tired in there. And good ring generalship. That was what impressed me the most, because I expect him to have good stamina. I expect his power to carry. I expect him to be able to make adjustments and listen to his corner and whatnot. But that ring generalship at 22, to be breaking up those clinches with the taller man, older man, and to be using them forearms and elbows like effectively. When you're wiry like that, when you're like, if you've done any form of boxing or combat sports, when you're fighting like a wiry kid and you get hit with an elbow, it might be accidental. You get hit with an elbow, or you go for a body punch and you hit an elbow. That hurts differently. That hurts differently when it's a wiry. Those bones are sharp. And he was using them well, man. So yeah, those are the plus points. The minuses for me, things he needs to work on is his defense. He still gets hit a lot. And like I said, those rights couldn't miss from round 2 to round 6. Those right hands couldn't miss. And if that was someone with more power, he would have got hurt. So yeah, his defense, and he doesn't use his reach. He doesn't use his reach. If you're getting caught coming in, start using your reach from the outside. Start jabbing from the outside, so you're less predictable when you do come in. If you start using your reach fighting on the outside, and then you cut the distance and move on to the inside or mid-range, you know what I mean? It makes your opponent have to guess what you're gonna do. For your opponent can see that all you want to do is get inside and load up, it's easier to counter, it's easier to stop. So yeah, he needs to use his reach at times, and listen to his corner. Because he took until the 8th round to listen to his corner. And if he didn't get that stoppage, there's some people that had Bell up on the scorecard. So he needs to listen to his corner, because his dad was saying to do these things from round 3. So listen to your corner. I see similar, mentality-wise, I see similar things with him and Boots. The fact that they don't listen to their corner. They kind of just rely on their ability, their athletic gifts. And their mentality is also fight fire with fire, when at times that will get you into trouble. So yeah, those are the minuses. And going forward, I like to see him in there with Schofield, man. I think that would be a brilliant fight, but I don't think it will probably happen at 135. I think by the time they're ready to bump heads, it'll probably be at 140. Neither of them can stay at 135 for too longer. Obviously Schofield says he got poison or whatnot. We all know it was weight issues. Abdullah Mason, I've seen him a couple times now. He just comes in on the 135 mark, bang on, having to drop the pants and whatnot. So yeah, I see them fighting at 140. I can't wait for that fight. But yeah, thanks for coming. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hype, all of that stuff. Just said it. Love.